We are here because we are dedicated to helping the entire CrossFit community. Determined to elevate coaches, box owners, athletes, and everything in between, we believe that this mission will begin right here, right now. While this time and this goal begins with you, our hope is that you take this fire ignited within you and weave it into your own life with the same unrelenting passion to give those you have the privilege of coming in contact with the best hour of their day.
All right. One of our best guests, a great friend, someone who, it's easy over the years to lose track or stop communicating with people. People are moving all over the country, all over the world even. We went virtual. You and I stay in touch. It's really, I enjoy it. I'm really glad that we do. You've become someone in my life that I, not only respect, but, look to for advice, for guidance, and just a fun chat.
Means a lot, Jason. Yeah, for about 10 years, man, I think we've kept that going now. And it's crazy to think about. And I think we talked about this on the first time I was on your show, which was like the first 20 episodes or something. You have put out, you've been a prolific, like 9,000 episodes of this fucking thing.
We're at 10,000.
We actually met back in like 2007 or 2008. And I came and dropped into Albany CrossFit. And, you and I were shooting the shit in one of the racquetball courts. And you were like, oh, I got this guy who's really fit. And I think he's going to make it to the games. And I was like, nah, he's probably not going to make it to the games. It was actually turned out to be Austin Maliola, but yeah, super fun.
He did all right. I had a
he ended up doing okay.
One of the few things I was right about. Man, you and I though, we've been on this call for 10 minutes, and you and I just go down rabbit holes, but I think challenge each other in a good way and bring up these topics. And
yeah,
I think one of the issues in the coaching world right now is imposter syndrome and this idea. Like, I think people I don't want to say too much because we're having a somewhat private conversation, but, we were talking about both of us still have struggles, not just with fitness, nutrition, with everything. And we're out there talking to people, coaching people. And I think it's important to remind others that, hey, no matter who your mentor is or who you look up to, be it MDV_fit or, posting. I did one of your finishers the other day. My chest is still sore.
Good.
So
Good. That's what they're for. They're supposed to be just fun little post-workout deals.
I love it. I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but you can pretty much find good programming on social media these days. So what I do is I'll just save the posts. So I have yours saved, and then I'll just be like, okay, I want to do a little more. Let me go pick one. And something I always tell people is if you're not really into training that day or you're tired, do something fun. So I'll pick one of yours and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of fun. It never is as fun as it looks, spoiler alert. but I always just grab one and, whether it was your ring row, you have a lot of great ab ones on there too, which not enough people are putting out. We got in the mindset with CrossFit that you don't need abs, right? What do we do for abs?
Overhead squat. We overhead squat.
Right.
Or, that's what we do.
Exactly. Coach Glassman used to say we stabilize the midline, right? Like a motherfucker. But I love it. And you put some good stuff out there. I don't know how much we can talk about. I know some cool
we can talk about it a lot. Yeah.
You got a new program coming out with the NC Collective, right? Yeah.
So I've been, well, first of all, to go back what you started
I know,
talking about. No, it's all good. But I just want to highlight what we were talking about is essentially struggling with discipline and willpower and figuring out how do we mostly stick to the habits and the routines and the things in our life that put us on the right track and trajectory to have us perform the way we want to perform, feel the way we want to feel, interact with our environment in the way that makes us feel positive, productive, and healthy. And it's not easy, man. And I empathize a lot of times with people who struggle mightily with those issues because I struggle with them as well. I think some of the imposter syndrome type of stuff is a little bit of a different discussion, but in terms of willpower and discipline, I think everybody in the world struggles with that. But with training, man, I still do high intensity workouts. I think at NC Fit, we put out a lot of really great GPP, whether or not it's through our NC Metcon program, which is the closest thing that you would find to a .com type of thing. Or our NCX, which is strength and conditioning.
Yeah, but we follow Metcon at the box I coach at
cool.
Ralston Creek CrossFit. So a bunch of the people in our coaches development group do. So it's cool because I get to compare not only my scores to the box, but to other friends around the world. Yeah, I'm gonna hit, this will be out a week or two later, but 2 10-minute AMRAPs today with double under sit-ups, and those lunges are gonna light my glutes up. I'm worried about those.
Good,
But
good. That
but
sounds like a
no,
fun
great
workout.
great stuff, great programming.
Oh, I appreciate that. But, that's only like 2 times a week for me these days. In the past, when I was really into functional training as like the sole thing that I did, it was 5, 6, 7 times a week of dropping the hammer in workouts, and most of them being pretty high intensity. Right now, I have some different goals, and part of that is I want to do really well on the mats for jujitsu, and the other part of that is I'm trying to push my body to an aesthetic look that I've never had before.
You got
And
it. You've
oh,
got it.
thank you, Jason. But I do a lot more like functional strength and bodybuilding type of stuff. And they're not easy workouts whatsoever, but they're certainly not as high intensity. The intensity comes down a little bit, and maybe the stress on the muscles goes up a little bit. The mind muscle connection is definitely a little bit higher, much more intention, but I'm having a lot of fun and not as much workout stress as if I'm running into the gym to do DT or something like that.
Well, one thing that you helped me with, I don't even know if you realized, is, we chat about workouts and here and there, and this is months ago. You were like, I don't often hit the timer.
Yeah, almost never do I put the timer on anymore, unless I'm testing a workout for one of the programs to gauge the stimulus. But a lot of times I just kind of throttle it. If I'm going after a high intensity workout and I'm feeling like a little bit, I'm stressed already from work. The day's been long. Let's just like get after it. Who cares about the time?
Well, I started doing that quite a bit. Like, I'll probably hit 2 days a week, like try to go hard because I'm training exclusively in my garage right now, just for the time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to go to the box, but hitting the same workouts as them.
Mhm.
And sometimes just not hitting that timer gets you going. Like there's the stress disappears, and I think a few things you kind of get ingrained with, especially when we started CrossFit, is like
Oh gosh.
intensity is everything, right? We've talked about this, the timer. Here's something that is taking me a little bit of time to get over,
Mm.
and your posts have helped. Is the fact that like I grew up in that bodybuilding world of like body parts and chest tries, right? And with CrossFit, this idea of full body power movements, but you still basically take body parts off. Like if you look at programming, there's a lot of like, okay, this is more of a squat day, then a hinge day, then a push day.
Yeah. Major movement function plays a huge part in programming GPP.
Right. So, but with like doing these finishers and whatnot, I'm just like kind of like, screw it. Like, yeah, I try to think about it from the perspective of what did I do yesterday? What did I just do? Like, A, I don't want to overdo something, and B, I don't want to like crush a body part that's recovering. But I also feel like who cares? And you bring up jujitsu, it's the old like story that Pat Sherwood used to take. You don't show up at jujitsu practice, and you're like, hey, professor, I see we're rolling again today.
Oh, yeah. No,
You rolled
don't get me in any
yesterday.
arm bars today because
Yeah.
I trained my arms, or like I trained arm bars yesterday, right?
Right. So it's, you have to, suck it up and and oftentimes just do what, even if it's not something that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. This is I have been thinking a lot about this lately, actually. I'm glad you brought this up. I was on a walk the other day and I was just thinking about how probably overcomplicated a lot of programming is, or a lot of fitness has become. And I'm not saying that there's not a way to have a really regimented and planned program, and to not go on a linear progression, and to not be really meticulous about how you're outlining your training week, month, year, whatever. And we do a lot of planning at NC Fit. We plan a lot about our programs. But I also think that with a little bit of knowledge and education and understanding of your body and understanding of your goals, you probably could just reach out there into the ether and pull a workout at a random location and pull another one and pull another one and pull another one and pull another one. And maybe once in a while you look at one, you go like, oh, like my legs are really jammed up. I probably shouldn't train my legs again right now. And you could get pretty darn fit. You could put together a really good program. It's probably easier to do that if your goal is general physical preparedness. But, also if your goal is, I think this aesthetic type of trend right now, this bodybuilding thing, I really enjoy like a full body bodybuilding type of experience. I don't really segment. Some of my finishers and stuff like that will be like upper body or lower body or booty builder or arms or abs. But like if I'm doing a full session, 90% of the time I look at that full session, I'm like, I'm pretty much training a full body bodybuilding session. I don't cut my days up into chest and tris, back and bis, shoulders and legs. Start to finish, it's a full body impact type of experience. And then the next day is the same thing. And I'm hitting some of the stuff on the same muscle groups the next day. And maybe I take the third day off from it. But I think a little less these days about exactly what I'm doing in terms of like meticulous planning. I just go into it and try to work as hard as I can.
I love it. And I think you're right. Like that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, when instead of mindlessly scrolling on Instagram, not that this is like not mindless, but I grabbed one from you the other day. I grabbed one of Jacob Hepner's. I saw one from Dan Bailey. I saw one from Mayhem. Like I'll just flag them as like workouts I want to do, because I would say the bulk of what I try to stick to is the box training, just so I like to do what the gym does. I like them to see that I'm still doing it even when I'm not there. I like to have those scores. But whether it's a second workout or whether it's just, I don't feel like doing that today. Like maybe I don't want to do lunges later today or double unders in the garage. So I just find one that looks enjoyable. And, what tying it all together, that what we were talking about with nutrition and training, I think a lot of people, myself included, get into this world with the result in mind and never just love the journey. And I think that's a big part of it. Like if you just love the journey and like, I'm going to go in the garage, like, and that's how it's been for me. The business has been busy. Before we hit record, you saw Rocky threw up all over my office. Like there's dogs, there's babies. I have a wife. Like there's still a lot going on. Like the garage is my downtime. Like that's my pleasure. Like that's whether it's Dave Matthews or 90s hip hop, like cranking, I keep my earbuds in because it's attached to Madison's room, and I don't want to wake her, but it's like in my own world. And I think it's totally okay. Like if you're just doing this fitness thing because you love the dopamine and you love feeling good, like do workouts you enjoy. Like I think that's the misconception. Like doesn't always have to be attack your weakness. Like realistically, my goal is not the CrossFit Games. My goal is, longevity. Did I say that
Longevity,
right?
longitude,
Longevity,
longevity,
latitude. Be a good
longevity.
parent for her and feel and look good.
I think that's important to remember. There are certainly a handful of days, sometimes more often in a week than not. Sometimes I don't want to go into the gym and train. And sometimes I have to just go, all right, well, let's suck it up. Let's get out there. You'll feel better afterwards. You have to talk myself into it. But a lot of times I'm looking forward to going into the garage or the gym and getting after it and, shutting a part of my brain off that's been working all day, whether or not it's, things like podcasts or writing programming or writing a coaching development tool or something like that. And I'm just investing in that experience of testing myself and testing my body and seeing what I'm made of. And I really enjoy that. I love the feeling after I'm done with a workout where it's like, damn, I gave that workout hell. And it's different now with the bodybuilding type of training than it is if like giving 21, 15, 9 thrusters and pull-ups hell. I am enjoying the bodybuilding more as I'm going through it. I don't have to worry about like how fast am I moving between each set or each rep. And like, I can play around with the weights a little bit more, and I can change the song, and I can make the volume louder and all this kind of stuff. And, when you're doing Fran, you're not even getting a sip of water. You're so worried about the time and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm having a lot of fun.
Even Austin said that he was in our coaches development group a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, his daughter Haley will distract him, and he no longer is like super crazy about his time. And it's like, just because you got distracted for 5 seconds, like you, I'll change the song now mid-workout, which I never would have done. Or Roz will come outside with Madison, and I'm like, get distracted and want to see her. It's like, that's not ruining your day.
Yeah.
Is the point. And I think
it's also probably not ruining your workout. Like even if you were going after Fran, and I think about this a lot too, man. This is a cool thing to think about. what is the actual physical difference? What is the manifested difference between doing Fran at 3 minutes? Let's say you're going hard as you can. You're frothing at the mouth. You're going unbroken. You're fucking just tore through this workout. You got a 3 minute score on Fran. All right, that's one. What's the difference physically between doing it like that and doing it at 3.5 or 4 minutes, where you might have refined your mechanics just a little bit, or you had a distraction from your wife or your kid or your baby or whatever, and you had to just take a second to be like, oh, hey, honey, what's going on? What is the physical difference between the two? I would contend it's so fucking negligible. There's almost no difference between how it's going to impact you physically that you should slow it down a little bit to focus on the mechanics. You can say hello to your wife. The only thing that is going to be broken here in that whole equation is your ego about your score being 30 seconds or a minute faster. But physically, there can't be any sort of tangible difference.
Well, especially at our level, right? Like maybe at the games level, those guys 30 seconds. I would argue it doesn't. Like I would argue the same thing I would say about you or me. Like it
But that's a
doesn't really.
different scenario, Jay.
Yeah.
That's a
No,
competitive fitness scenario. They're trying to
yeah.
win and stand on a podium. I'm talking about somebody who's in the gym or training in their garage or something like that.
I would say if I truly looked at it, the only differences are positive. Like I'm less stressed, which means I'm having more fun. I'm I'm not going to be as sore. If I, move a little bit slower and less likely for injury, right? Because I'm moving with, like you said, a little more purpose. And I don't know. I think ultimately it's just you're absolutely right. If that's what gets you to train, all good. What's going on? Are you all right? Are you being attacked?
No, I have it sounded like there's a garbage truck that's ready to like bulldoze my house or
Are
something.
you
So it's
safe
just,
right now?
yeah, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm
Are you
safe.
alone? That's what you would say if you weren't safe, actually. But I think there's a lot of value to what you're just saying, and that kind of goes back to what we're talking about. Like, make working out fun again. And I mean, CrossFit does do that. Don't get me wrong, the community showing up at the box, but you know, you know my philosophy. I mean, it's our company name, like best hour of their day, and that's a big part of it. Like
Yeah.
I think as coaches, and you and I were both guilty of this, I'm sure. I can speak for myself, where I would put that stress on others
Yeah.
instead of just be, and I no longer do that. I'm just like, I taught Monday's class, which was NC, and it was every 3:30, like 10 pull-ups, 12 handstand push-ups, 14 up-down box shoulders, right?
Very fast workout in 3 minutes
Fast
and 30
workout.
seconds. Yeah.
And and I everybody was like, "What about this? What about that?" I'm like, "You do it that way, Bob. You do it that way, Kendon. You do it that way, Christy." I'm like, because all of you are different. I was like, I treated it differently. Like, hey, I want you to get all the pull-ups, but maybe we take away some of the reps on the up-down overs. I want you to get the handstand push-ups. I want you to go strict, right? And it's all about just like what's gonna let them leave feeling accomplished. Because even like that's a great workout that could leave someone like feeling like I'm bad at this, right?
Yeah.
Like, and not that
Or
you
it can
did
fall
that on
flat.
purpose. Yeah.
Workouts on that short period of time, man, they can fall flat. Or like the monostructural type of 30 muscle up for time. That's a really tough workout to make everybody feel like they got something out of that day sometimes.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to be like, hey, you want to just do pull-ups? You want to just do dips? Like, you want to do this? Like, you want to do bar muscle ups? Like,
Mm,
even that would be like, no, it's a ring muscle up. What are you talking about? You can't do bar.
mm.
And I'm like, huh. If someone wants to do bar muscle ups and they're excited to do it, why not just let them do it?
Yeah, who cares, man?
I think
I
people,
kind of think that fundamental approach to fitness that probably a lot of us used to have, some of us still hold on to. I don't necessarily think it's the best thing for not only the methodology, but also for the athletes. I think that being more open-minded and letting people experiment or feel out the workout or give them guidance and balance that against what do they want to do that day ultimately leads to a better experience.
yeah. So, you and I share a lot of sentiments on all of this, and people that
Hmm.
check you out see your sticky notes. We had our sticky note
Oh
battle.
yeah, we both have the same kind of shtick here on social media.
Well, I think one thing that we both realize in social media is stay in your lane.
Yes.
I think both of us have like, not that it matters at the end of the day. At the true end of the day, it's insignificant, right? But when you see your influence go up, if you will, your followership go up, I think for both of us, we've seen that uptick because we are doing what we love and we're talking about what things we're passionate about. You know, your posts all kind of have the same thing, but you also put those workouts out there where I don't do that because I don't look as good as you, so it's embarrassing.
You look
But
great. You look great.
but t tell me kind of the mindset behind those. Like some of them, like how do you think of them? Where do you come up with them? How tell me, run me through what it takes for from a thought to I've posted this in the MDV
Are
world.
you trying to steal the secret sauce right now?
I've
Am I
I'm
going to
just
see some stuff show up on an iPad in a couple of days where I'm going to like this motherfucker, man? No, I'm just kidding.
I can't do the multi-post like you do. I mean, I could,
You could.
but I don't because I do set mine on my computer and you can't set it to do
Yeah, we were talking
so.
about that.
And it's just not some like I don't want to have to post them from my phone. I like
I hear
being
you.
done. I like for me when I write a post, like I like typing. I'm more fluid when I type versus using my fingers on my phone.
Makes
So
sense.
it just kind of I feel like on my phone I have to go back to my brain and try to remember what I was thinking. Where on my
Yeah.
computer it comes out at the same speed.
It also is probably a much healthier relationship with the social media because when you're on your computer, it's just not as easy to dive in and go deep into Instagram on the computer.
I
You know,
don't, and that's
Facebook, you could probably go down a rabbit hole, and YouTube rabbit hole for sure. But
right. And I tried my best for that reason. For a long time, I didn't even have it on my phone,
mm,
but you know, I really appreciate that people share stuff. So it's my way of being able to repost if they share my stuff. Like I think it's important for that and to communicate with people. Like I do it not just because I want to hit a certain number of followers, but because I like the connection it allows me to create with other people. And I
yeah,
felt like that was what was missing by only using it on my computer.
yeah, I hear that. I think that that's part of the reason that I use this format of engagement is I'm trying to create connection with coaches out there and athletes. I'm also trying to have people be thoughtful about some of the things that they do or some of the things that they accept as being normal or comfortable. And, you know, I get labeled as being controversial or making people feel uncomfortable sometimes. And I don't really think almost anything that I posted is actually controversial. If you're thinking about really controversial things in the realm of like the world and what's going on in terms of our society and different events that are happening globally, the stuff that I talk about is probably rather fucking insignificant. And, you know, I think that I'm trying to push people towards a higher level of professionalism in terms of how they handle the craft of coaching. And I'm trying to help athletes make sense of some of the nonsense that's out there in terms of fitness and nutrition. And some of the things that I post, I think people look at and they go, I'm doing that right now and I'm comfortable in doing that. And that makes them feel by default uncomfortable when they see that. And there's a visceral reaction. You know, the post that we've talked about, I think maybe before, is the eating during class thing. But
Which by the way, shout out to Carl. He reposted that on Whiteboard Daily. That's pretty cool that you
oh
said
yeah,
something cool enough that Carl was like, I want to draw it. He's actually, it may have gone up already. He and I were working on a post together too. Carl's a great dude. I'm sure if you listen to us, you check out Whiteboard Daily.
he's awesome. He's awesome. He's putting out some of the most creative content in the fitness space. And really good value out there if you're a coach or an athlete looking to get not like just your opinions on different topics. Carl stays much more in like the actual coaching realm of movement and
He's not
mechanics.
very controversial. In fact, I've had conversations with him where he's posted something and gets like one negative comment. I'm like, you have a million people looking at your posts every day. Like one negative comment is nothing, but he takes it to heart.
Oh, it's tough.
And you
Yeah,
know,
it can
and
be tough.
I think part of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, like at least for me, you have to word stuff in a way that draws attention. Like you have to take a side
Mm,
and you have to say it in a way that gets people the feels,
mm,
whether for or against.
mm.
But so many people like come at you, I see the same way that they come at me of like, this is wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, like the way we're both saying it is, you know, hyperbolic, like absolute. But that doesn't mean we're not open to opinions. We're not open to discussion. Like people just, I think the people that respond and the people that comment on your post are the ones that are truly guilty.
Probably. So I think that when you're posting a picture in the format that we post, which is there's text on some sort of screen or paper or post-it or whatever, it's kind of like Twitter because you don't have an endless amount of discourse that you can have in the photo. You just have the space that takes up the screen or the post-it or whatever, and you're trying to put a thought out there that will get and gain attention or engagement, and you want people to interact with it, and you want people to provide their point of view. I try to, most of the time in my captions, parse through some of the nuance that's involved in some of these things and provide my actual insight into it. But like, yeah, if I'm going to post something on a 3-inch by 3-inch post-it about eating during class, I'm going to say, you probably shouldn't be eating while you're coaching. And then I'm going to explain in the caption that, yes, of course, there's some exceptions to this. If you have
But
a medical,
not really. Come on, like about that. Like
if you have a medical condition where you're going to die, right? If you have a medical condition where you're going to die and you have to have access to whether it's glucose or some sort of nutrition because you have something that's going on that could be really life-threatening, I understand.
Sure,
Almost any other situation. Listen, fucking human beings can go 40 days without food. And you're telling me that you can't go 4 hours?
I know. I mean, you know me. I fast every day a minimum of, I would say 20 hours. Like most days it's 22. That's just, I use an app, just basically a glorified timer, 20 hours.
You have a 4-hour eating window? Wow.
Yeah, 5 to 9, which rarely starts at 5 because that's typically when Madison's kind of wind down routine begins. So I usually only wind up eating for within a 2-hour window every day.
Holy cow. That's pretty limited. That's
I love it.
I wonder, we should talk about this offline. I would love to hear a little bit more about how your body's responded to it. And
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that's a long conversation, and it's not for everybody. But
no,
the
it's
point
definitely
I'm
not.
making is like, I'm nothing special. You're not going to die. Like, you're going to be fine. But I want to say, like, you put a post like that up, and the people that are arguing, that's what they're arguing, and you're like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, and that goes back to a lot of my posts. It's like you're arguing what you want this to say.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is most people, most of the time, should not be eating on the floor while they're coaching. There are like, imagine your sticky notes that's like, hey, it's like no one would give a shit if you posted like something very neutral. Hey guys, when you coach, try not to eat on the floor, but if you must because you're really hungry, it's okay to have a small snack. It's like, all right, thank you, Matt. Like that, great. I appreciate that. No one's commenting on it.
Yeah. I think the most visceral responses probably to both yours and my posts come from the people who might be engaging in this type of behavior. And this, I'm going to make a big assumption here. They might reflect on it and go, oh man, well, I've been doing this for a long time and I'm comfortable doing it. And my members don't care, but this person's saying that I shouldn't do it. And they're saying that it's unprofessional to do it. That pisses me off. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to outline all of the reasons why eating during class is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I'm just saying that, like, you cannot tell me with a straight face that during the 60 minutes you're going to coach is the only time that you could ever shove any food down your gullet. Wake up 5 minutes earlier and have the protein bar. Figure out how do you have a snack between classes. Plan your day a little bit better. It's kind of comical when you break it down that, somebody's going to say to me that the only time they have that they could possibly eat is the 1 hour that they coach. Even if that's the case, a human being can subsist for an hour without putting food in their mouth. It's possible.
I go 20. What's been another controversial one that you've had?
Blaming genetics. That was one where I had a few people come out of the woodwork and tell me that I was a terrible human being because I was saying that if you're double fisting McDonald's or if you're eating everything that's highly processed and it's just sugar laden and you're drinking Coca-Cola all day, that the issue might not be your genetics. Here's the deal with that post, man. It's like, even in the caption, what I was writing was, I want to try to empower people to take control of their lives and their decisions and not feel so trapped by things that they cannot control. You can't control your lot in life based on your race, your genetics, the socioeconomic situation that you were born into. You can't control who your mom and dad were. You have no control how tall you are, how short you are, how big your butt is, how big, whatever. Like, you can influence some of those things over time, but like, you have to work at them. But in terms of the things that you can control based on your lifestyle and the decisions that you're making, you can control the foods that you choose to eat if you're an adult, and if you're, aware that there are healthy and healthier options and less healthier options, or more optimal or less optimal, however you want to phrase it. But to sit there and allow people to blame genetics and not feel like they have any control over that situation, when 3/4 of our country is overweight and like 45% of our country is obese, I think that we're allowing them too much of a opportunity to say, this is not changeable for me. I have no power to change the situation. I'm stuck here. And that I think that's an abomination if you are a fitness or health influencer. I'm not saying don't have empathy. I'm saying help these people figure out how can they change the course of their lives with the decisions that they make every single day. Start small, super, super small, one decision, but work your way towards having more empowerment, more control.
Yeah. And I was going to say, but I think we both agree the world in general is a little softer than it was in the 80s and 90s when you were wearing starter jackets and collecting pogs.
Slamming
I think
pogs.
you're a little, it's amazing how like a 1 or 2 year difference in age changes some of those hobbies. Because I'm like 5 years older than you. I think I'm 43. You said you'll be 38 in a couple.
Yeah, 38 in a few days.
When's your birthday?
September 9th.
Oh, nice. 38. So, but it's amazing how like those 5 years, like I never collected pogs. Like the fads come and go.
Yeah, I was.
Starter jackets are they're here forever. You got.
I was like a few years. Power Rangers wasn't cool for me. Like I was too old to admit publicly I was into Power Rangers. Maybe behind closed doors, I was like watching it and shit. But
yeah, I was a little ahead of that. But since then, I mean, growing up in the 80s, 90s is a different game than 2021. Like, it's easy to blame other people. It's easy to, I don't know, just sit in your own sorrow. I think one of the things you and I discuss often is stoicism and all that stuff. And it's like just understanding what you're basically just saying what you can control that. Like, and you can't control your genetics. I'm 5'3". I've never made it an excuse in my life for why I'm good or bad at certain things. Yeah, I didn't go out for the basketball team and I went out for the wrestling team. Like, I realized, hey, this is what I'm dealt. Let's take advantage of it. And yeah, stop saying it's my genetics when you're double fisting fast food. Like, I don't think that's controversial.
It is for some people. And I understand that they probably view it as making somebody feel bad. This is not the intention, making somebody feel bad that they are currently in that state, that they're currently large bodied or overweight or obese or whatever you want to call it. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad about that situation. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to empower people and let them know that they can find a way out of this by taking control and not blaming the things that they don't have any control over. It's kind of like, I never understood this. When like a guy makes fun of a girl, let's say, for example, for having smaller boobs, or like a girl makes fun of a guy for being short, you don't have any fucking control over that. How is that at all like a thing that exists in society where it's like, let's make fun of this person because of X that they couldn't control? And the same thing goes for like the color of your skin. It's bonkers to me that people think that way. And like in terms of genetics, like all I'm trying to say is like, yeah, maybe you got dealt a shitty lot in life where you had a proclivity or like a natural kind of inclination to your body's going to go this way, or you're a hard, not gainer, but like it's harder for you to lose weight. Your metabolism's a little slower. Get it. I get it. That's harder. That's tough. But you can influence those things by taking control of the situation and making smarter choices and helping yourself through this by not only making those choices, but being empowered to not sit there and blame something you can't change ever. You're never going to change it.
Yeah. I mean, if I posted a picture of my parents online, people would, I think that would be pretty good way to show people like you're not limited by your genetics. Like that, I mean, it's true. And I mean, I've never seen your folks, but I'm sure a lot can be said about that. Let's go to a less serious topic.
Sure.
MDV. Let's talk about coffee.
Oh,
I just finished my first cup. One thing I've been trying to do lately. Have you heard of Andrew Huberman?
yes. There's a great he has a fantastic podcast.
Yeah, I forget the name of the podcast, but if you look him up, you'll find it. I watch him on YouTube, but he was on Rogan a couple weeks ago, which then led me down a rabbit hole of his stuff and
magnesium triphosphonate or whatever,
and theanine, and Tonga Ali for my low testosterone. But what I was listening to one of his podcasts and it got down the topic was optimizing basically everything.
Yeah.
And two things I took from it, a lot of which I was already doing, which I was kind of proud of, but the two things that I wasn't doing consistently, and something, tying it back to what we talked earlier, is I think for a lot of people, it's the story you tell yourself, right? So you tell yourself this story often enough and it becomes the truth and who you are. And, so the two things were for me, like when I wake up, I need an hour or two to kind of basically prepare for the day. And two, I need my coffee right away. So two of the things he mentions to do is get outside for a walk.
Yeah, right? And light exposure, and then
light
also
exposure, which I've done every day with Rocky. Like Rocky and I, 15, 20 minutes, like just depends on the day. Like we'll take a different loop. Like today was a little shorter. You and I were recording. But also then pushing back my first coffee for 90 minutes to 2 hours. So I've been doing that. Like I just finished one cup. I usually have 2 cups. I make a coffee press. I have actually have it open in my browser because we were talking yesterday, but I never got around to it. But I was going to order some Last Port.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, we just launched that company yesterday.
So, you had been posting about this, and I'm like, oh, he really likes this coffee. I didn't realize it was yours and, Mindy's company that's producing this. Yeah.
So first of all, that podcast that Andrew Huberman did on optimizing your day is an amazing listen.
Yeah, check it out. Katie will post the link, hopefully.
I love the getting outside and getting exposure to light, not only for the more obvious benefit of the vitamin D, but there is something that he was talking about in terms of preserving and improving your vision and what light exposure does when you look out to the horizon. And it doesn't need to be just nature, but when you expose your eyes to long distance eyesight and viewing things, that it improves your vision. The coffee thing,
just wakes
he can
up,
fucking take a hike.
Well, let's talk about that. But yeah, I'm telling you, I told you, I think on a phone call, I had a vitamin IV drip, and that game changer. If you're listening and you can find a place in your area, I still got, look at this bruise. That's 2 weeks ago.
Oh, man.
Am I not getting enough iron?
You might have to see a doctor.
Yeah. It gave me energy that's still, it was 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and I still feeling it, but it's hard to say because something you and I discuss a lot is you make a change and you're like, but I made 7 changes. Which one is the one actually benefiting me? So, but who cares? It's part of my thing too, as long as it's working. And the IV drip, but at the same time, I've been getting up earlier and going for the walks, and my energy throughout the day is better. It may also be attributed, but it was the story I was telling myself. I need coffee right away. I would challenge you to go an hour, even just an hour. You don't have to go 90. How soon when you wake up are you drinking your first cup?
I'm almost still in bed. I don't even know if I'm awake sometimes. This is a funny question. I like that we're being a little bit lighter here. I asked my fiance, I said, what's your favorite drink in the world? And she was like, sparkling water. And I said, all right, for $1 million, $1 million, I'm going to give you $1 million cash right now. Could you never drink another sparkling water again in your life?
No, I would
And
say no for coffee for sure. Yeah.
any beverage or whatever. And she was like, yeah, I could do it. Give me the $1 million. I was like, do you understand how terrible that would be if that's your favorite drink of all time, like the drink that you enjoy the most? It would, for me, oh gosh, this is so hard to say, but like if somebody told me I could never have a cup of coffee again in my life for $1 million, I might not take that deal.
I would not take it. I'm telling you right now.
I don't think I would.
No.
I think it would need to be like 10 million, 100 million. At 100 million, I'm going to find like some fucking alternative, like mud water or something. But
yeah, you would two. If you give me two, I would consider it. For $1 million after taxes, I'd be like, no.
After taxes, after 33%, it's only 666,000.
But the other, then I would be like, I would ask for some backup, like all coffee, nitro coffee, like what's coffee?
No, everything's out. Everything's out. Anything that tastes like coffee, looks like coffee. The only thing would be you have to find an alternative.
I love the taste. I love the ritual. Like I purpose, like my day typically
part of
starts
my life
around 9 my time MST, and it's usually a call, whether it's a podcast or coaches group, a meeting. And I just like, you got your mug. I love just sitting there sipping coffee, like talking to a buddy. But
it's literally my favorite thing in the world. Like if I were to say like, if somebody asked me what my favorite moments are, it's waking up early, the sun shining, I put on some music, I'm sipping a cup of coffee, and I'm just sitting there enjoying what's going on. And some of it is just silence and realizing that these kinds of things aren't going to last forever. So why would I ever deny myself something that I enjoy that much? And of course, you go down this weird rabbit hole of like,
going back to what we were talking about with fitness.
Yeah.
I think you and I are very similar. Like we love like the people like Jocko, the discipline equals freedom, etc. But
which it does.
I put these rules on. Like I make my coffee press, not a press, pour over, and in the Chemex, and I make my 2 cups. Like I know what it weighs, etc. And I'm done. But I'm like, some days if I'm like, I gotta call it 2 and I want to chill with MDV if we're recording a podcast, like there's nothing wrong with having a 3rd cup of coffee or a tea or whatever that is. Just like there's nothing wrong with doing another workout that's more fun, right? It's the same thing. It's like, have these rules, but at the same time, be flexible with those rules. If not, like life gets really stagnant and boring. Do you have a meditation practice?
I have in the past. I used to do that one word repetition meditation. What was it called? It's called
not transcendental.
Shit, the name is escaping me. Anyway, I used to try to sit for anywhere between like 5 and 10 minutes and just repeat the word center over and over and over and over again. And I haven't done it in years. Probably something that I should think about reintroducing. But to answer your question, no, I don't have one right now. I have played around with it in the past.
No, I mean, you were mentioning, sitting around thinking like, yeah, that's something that I work towards. I feel better when I do it. Finding the time to do it isn't always easy. So talk to me about Last Port Coffee. How did it come about? And it's for sale now. People can check it out, right?
Yep. So you can go to lastportcoffee.com and that will redirect you to Notorious Bastards, which is the lifestyle company that my fiance started. We're selling our coffee exclusively through Notorious Bastards, but lastportcoffee.com will take you right there.
I do want to say we had discussed coffee like a year or 2 ago, and you did this without me.
Well, I can give you the formula. It's very easy to actually start a coffee company. It's not that hard. We were talking about starting a brick and mortar espresso bar.
I want to do that.
We should still discuss that.
But you were considering moving to this area before you took up Washington.
Yeah. We were definitely looking at Colorado as a place to settle down.
Are you near Seattle, by the way?
No, I'm like 3 hours away. I'm near Portland.
All right, I'm gonna be in Seattle, but okay.
So I've been a coffee drinker for 20 years. I probably haven't gone the most I've ever gone without drinking a cup of coffee legitimately is probably a day in the past 20 years. I've never given it up for longer, probably never had it out of my hand for longer. I've almost exclusively drank all my coffee black and hot for 20 years. I never liked putting anything into it. I never liked iced coffee. Don't really love nitro brews and things like
I
that.
don't as much as you're right. I'm just a good cup of hot coffee kind of guy. I'll
Yeah.
grab a nitro if it's really hot out, but I don't like the taste as much as just a good hot black coffee.
No, you could put me in the middle of like the Moab desert or wherever and like give me 1,000,000 degrees of heat and I still want a hot cup of coffee in my hand. I don't like iced coffee.
So
But to each their own.
people can check it out. You got Fairwinds, Bastards Brew, Homeward Bound, and Jolly Roger.
Yeah, we got 4 roasts.
I'm gonna check out Fairwinds, I think. Why is one more $2 more expensive than the others?
That is our reserve roast. So it's an
What's that
Ethiopian
mean?
reserve roast. It's just more expensive to source that bean ethically. All of our coffee is single origin, all ethically sourced. And getting that coffee bean from Ethiopia is a little bit more of a process than it is from getting the coffee from Honduras, Costa Rica, or Colombia. So it just is a more expensive bean to get it the right way. So yeah, we started that company. We have 4 roasts. We have a light roast, a medium dark, and a dark, and they're all amazing. I've never found coffee that I've enjoyed so much. There's always something that eventually I get tired of when I'm drinking a bag of coffee, but this is amazing stuff. So I'm super proud of it. I couldn't forgive
awesome.
myself if I sold bad coffee. It would be like
Well,
a cardinal sin.
I'm gonna order some and I will let the listeners know if it's bad, but I highly doubt it will be.
Well,
And
thank
also
you so
just
much.
there's some cool stuff on this site. Like you guys got some great apparel. You even have a rash guard, which I didn't realize you guys had. So
Yeah, the rash guard is super comfy.
I will have to check that out. Yeah, so this is Mindy's full-time gig. She runs this company.
Yeah, she was a biomedical engineer at Stanford, which is essentially
Damn, she's smart. I mean, that's awesome.
yeah,
I didn't
right.
realize that about her.
Smart, tattoos, lifts weights.
Attractive.
I
You
got
could
very
say it.
lucky.
You could brag about your
She's
fiance.
beautiful. She's very beautiful. She's a talented woman. So yeah, she's running Notorious Bastards and has for the past 2 years as her full-time gig. And we wanted to launch Last Port through Notorious Bastards because it just was smart.
Yeah,
that
you already
audience
have
is already tuned into.
a shop set up. You got all
Yeah.
that. Makes sense. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, and it goes right along with your brand there. Obviously, kind of the American traditional look and
Yeah.
fit people.
Tattoo culture for sure.
Yeah, notoriousbastards.com, but you would also get there if you go to Lastport Coffee. And
Lastportcoffee.com.
of course, we will put that in the notes, as well as checking out MDV's MDV_fit.
Yep.
I mean, was MDV taken really? Like you couldn't just do MDV?
That's a funny story. I think 4 or 5 years ago, you could pick just 3 letters as your handle, but they changed the rules. And I hit the person up who had at MDV, and I was like, "You're not using this handle. It's kind of like my thing." And they were like, "Yeah, give me $4,000." And I was like, "It doesn't mean that much to me."
Underscore it is. So,
Yeah.
very cool. Well, I will continue to look to you for the inspiration
Well,
on
thank you very
fitness.
much.
And also, we didn't mention it, but check out his podcast, The Intro. You have some, I mean, obviously I was on there a long time
Yeah,
ago,
I was gonna say we got to get you back on. Let's record an episode. Let's go like long. Let's do like a 2-hour just odyssey.
I'm all for it. I just will need a bathroom break in there. Like right now, I need to go to the bathroom. But yeah, I'm all for it. We'll talk offline. But check that out. I know
Thank
you've
you very
had
much.
recent episodes with like Joshy G. The games
Yep.
announcer was a great episode. I saw him
Pat
out
Cummings from Consistency Project and
Kelly
Chasing Excellence.
Starrett.
Kelly Starrett's been on. Marcus Philly's been on. I just interviewed Heather Bergeron, which was a super fun interview. I can't wait
cool.
for that to launch.
Yeah, that one's not out yet, right?
No, not
It
yet.
will be by the time, but check it out. I mean,
Thank you very much,
we are
Jason.
basically brothers from another mother. Like we have a lot of the same thoughts and ideas and philosophies in mind. So if you like the stuff you hear from us, you'll like MDV as well. So
I appreciate that a lot.
check him out. All right. Well, yeah. How about this? I will order some of the Last Port, and then we will have a podcast. How long should I expect that to take? Overnight? We'll be here tomorrow?
What, the coffee? Probably 2 days or so.
I was joking. Well, yeah, I guess it's got to be somewhat fast because you want those beans, right?
Well, yeah, Yeah, the shelf life on them is you probably want to drink your coffee within a month after it's roasted, but they're all in these like hyper sealed vacuum bags. You could probably let this thing sit on your shelf for a year and still enjoy a great cup of coffee. But we roast everything to order, and it goes out that week. So
awesome. Well, I'm excited, and
exciting.
yeah, I'd love to be back on the show.
Thanks. Had a blast. Always do.
So you never miss an episode of the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel and on all major podcasting platforms at Best Hour of Their Day. Thank you so much for tuning in and for being a part of the best hour of our day. See you next time.